Imagine you are standing in line outside a club.
Oh, setting a scene. I like it.
Yeah. So it is 2 a.m. The air is just absolutely freezing, and you've been waiting out here for like an hour,
Right.
but you honestly do not care. Because this is, without a doubt, the hottest spot in town. You can hear this heavy bass thumping through the thick brick walls.
Right. Feel it in your chest.
Exactly. You can literally feel the energy vibrating on the pavement. But here's the catch.
Okay.
When you finally get inside, after paying your entry fee, checking your code, you realize the DJ is not playing the top 40.
Far from it.
Right. They're not playing the current radio hits. They're not playing anything you could just, buy at the local record shop down the street.
Yeah, you won't find it there.
In fact, they're playing music that literally no one in the room has ever heard before.
Wow.
And that complete unknown, like that total lack of familiarity, is exactly why you and 1,000 other people are there.
It's the whole draw.
It really is.
Yeah.
So welcome to another deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack this completely fascinating 2026 retrospective column we found from MMR, which is Monumental Movement Records.
It is such a good piece.
It really is. We are tracking the origins of an underground music movement called Northern Soul.
Yes.
And we are going to follow its highly unique, honestly, almost improbable evolution, all the way from the grim industrial north of England in the 1960s to the pristine, high-fidelity listening bars of modern-day Japan.
It's quite the journey.
It is a wild ride. And before we go any further, I just have to say I am absolutely loving your visual setup today.
Thank you. Yeah, try it.
That backdrop is just incredible. You have this seamlessly blended image where on one side it looks like a dimly lit, smoky packed 1970s dance floor.
Yeah, complete with the wooden floorboard.
Exactly. And then it fades right into this meticulously organized, like floor-to-ceiling wall of rare 45 RPM vinyl records. It perfectly sets the mood for where we are going today.
I mean, it felt mandatory for this topic. You really cannot talk about Northern Soul without, addressing both halves of that visual.
Right.
You have the chaotic physical release of the dance floor on one side, and then the obsessive, almost academic dedication of the record collectors on the other.
It is a weird mix, isn't it?
Totally. They feed off each other in a way that completely flips the script on what we expect a nightclub experience to be.
Oh, so?
Well, most of the time, whether you are at a wedding or like a massive festival, you are waiting for that one anthem everybody knows.
Right, the sing-along moment.
Exactly. So the whole room can sing along. Familiarity is the entire point. But in this specific scene, familiarity was actually a negative.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the ultimate currency was total, absolute obscurity.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly are we talking about when we say Northern Soul? Because reading through the material, it becomes very clear right up front that this is not just a musical genre.
No, not at all.
It is fundamentally defined as a specific cultural attitude.
Yes.
But musically, just to ground us, the foundation is up-tempo American soul music from the mid to late 1960s.
But not the hits.
Right, exactly. We are not talking about the massive global hits from Motown that crossed over onto the pop charts.
No Supremes or Marvin Gaye here.
Exactly. Northern Soul was built entirely on the commercial failures. These were tracks released on minor, very obscure independent labels across the United States that never made a dent in the American charts.
They were basically flops.
Yeah, complete flops. But sonically, it has a very specific fingerprint. We are talking about a fast tempo, or what DJs refer to as the BPM, the beats per minute.
It had to be fast.
Fast, with a heavily emphasized 4-beat rhythm, punchy horn sections, and these incredibly driving, relentless bass lines.
It was music engineered from the ground up for the dance floor.
Totally. But the lyrical contrast is wild to me.
Oh, the lyrics are so sad.
They really are. The lyrics were overwhelmingly about heartbreak, loss, unrequited love, like really heavy emotional stuff.
Yeah, real tearjerkers.
But for the crowd, that melancholy message was entirely secondary. The physical reaction to that fast BPM, the groove, the pure dance floor euphoria, that was the primary goal.
What's fascinating here is that Northern Soul did not start as nostalgia music.
What do you mean by that?
Well, today, when you or I hear a crackly 1960s soul record with a big horn section, we instantly frame it in our minds as retro.
Oh yeah, sure, like a throwback.
Exactly. We think of it as a throwback, but for the working class youth in northern England during the creation of this scene, this was not like a retro appreciation night.
Oh, interesting.
This was present tense, constantly evolving floor music. It was the soundtrack of their current weekend.
Even though the songs were older.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened to be music that had been recorded a few years prior on a different continent, but they were consuming it as contemporary underground dance music.
Which naturally forces us to ask why the north of England?
Right, geography is key here.
Yeah, you have this hyper-specific obsession with completely obscure American soul music. And it takes root in industrial cities like Manchester, Wigan, Blackpool, and Sheffield.
Very industrial, gritty places.
Right, so why not London? I mean, when we think of the 1960s UK music explosion, London is the center of the universe.
Oh, totally. The Beatles, the Stones.
Exactly. The Rolling Stones, the whole swinging London aesthetic.
Yeah.
Why didn't it happen there?
Well, you really have to look at the massive cultural divide in the UK at the time. Southern England, particularly London, was dominated by highly visible, highly commercialized subculture.
Like the mods.
Yeah, you had the mod scene, the birth of psychedelia, the explosion of rock culture.
Right.
It was glamorous, it was fashion forward, and it was heavily covered by the media. But the northern industrial cities were a completely different world.
Totally disconnected.
Geographically and culturally, they were far removed from that glitz. The youth there largely bypassed the whole psychedelic rock wave.
Interesting.
Instead, they heavily embraced imported Black American music.
So instead of going to see like a local rock band play a 20-minute guitar solo about a psychedelic submarine or whatever,
Right.
these working class youths would pack into local northern clubs and just dance to rapid-fire American soul records for hours and hours.
Exactly. And the working class element is the absolute core mechanism of why this happened.
How so?
There was a profound socioeconomic resonance at play here. Consider the themes present in the American soul music coming out of places like Detroit, Chicago, or the Deep South.
Like the struggle and the hustle.
Yes, you have intrinsic themes of grueling physical labor, systemic oppression, financial struggle, and the deep need for community solidarity just to survive the week.
Wow, yeah.
Those themes, even when disguised as upbeat love songs, perfectly mirrored the daily lived experiences of the youth in the industrial north of England.
Because they were living that same grind.
Exactly. These were kids working 60-hour weeks in textile mills, in coal mines, in automotive factories, in deeply unglamorous conditions.
So it is almost like a musical pen-pal relationship between two working-class groups separated by an entire ocean.
That is a great way to put it.
It makes total sense when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
A teenager in rainy, gray industrial Manchester whose hands are blistered from working a factory line all week,
Yeah.
they are going to feel a much deeper psychological and emotional connection to a factory worker in Detroit singing their heart out over a raw, unpolished rhythm section,
Absolutely.
much more than they would to a wealthy rock star wearing velvet in London.
It is a brilliant analogy. The physical and psychological distance from London actually allowed that tighter spiritual bond with regional America to form.
That makes a lot of sense.
The grit of the music matched the grit of their environment. They didn't want escapism into fantasy.
Like the psychedelic stuff?
Right. They wanted an energetic release from their reality.
But building on that transatlantic connection, I am trying to figure out the actual physical logistics here.
Oh, the logistics are wild.
Right. How on earth were these northern English teenagers getting their hands on obscure American records that even Americans were not listening to?
It wasn't easy.
We are talking about the late 60s and early 70s. You couldn't just open a web browser and stream a playlist of deep cuts.
Algorithms to help you out.
You couldn't order it online. The physical artifact actually had to cross the ocean.
The mechanism of how this music traveled is essentially a massive international treasure hunt.
A treasure hunt.
Yeah. Remember, they were not looking for the polished hits. They wanted those driving, raw tracks from obscure independent labels in places like Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Alabama, and Texas.
Right.
So British DJs and specialty importers had to physically travel to America to find them.
Wait, really? They were actually getting on commercial flights just to go dig through boxes?
They absolutely were.
That is insane.
They would fly into U.S. cities, rent a car, and drive to abandoned radio station archives, forgotten distribution warehouses, and the back rooms of dusty record shops. They were actively hunting for unsold stock. Often, these were promotional 45 RPM records that independent labels pressed a few hundred copies of, sent out to local radio stations, and when the song flopped, the records were just shoved into a cardboard box in a basement.
And just Forgotten about for 5 years.
Exactly. British DJs would buy these boxes for pennies on the dollar, pack their luggage full of heavy vinyl, and fly them back to the UK.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. This intense logistical effort created what the column calls the only one culture.
The only one culture, yes.
Because these records were commercial failures, there might only be a handful of copies left in existence.
Sometimes literally just one or two playable copies.
So a DJ possessing a specific 45 RPM record that absolutely no one else in the entire country had, that became the ultimate status symbol.
Oh, it was everything.
It was essentially an anti-hit parade.
Yeah.
If you think about today, if you go to a club, a DJ gets booed off the stage if they refuse to play the hits the crowd wants to hear.
Right, you have to play the bangers.
But here, the scarcity was the entire point of the night. It feels very similar to modern sneakerhead culture, where someone is hunting for an original 1985 pair of Jordans.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison.
Or like rare Pokemon card collecting, but applied directly to the energy of a dance floor.
The sneakerhead analogy maps perfectly because it is all about exclusivity and the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
The DJ evolved from someone who just mindlessly played popular music into a highly competitive, highly secretive cultural curator.
Secretive. Like they were hiding stuff.
Oh, the environment was ruthless.
Wow.
If a DJ found a massive floor-filling track, they would actually take a black marker and scratch out the paper label on the center of the vinyl.
No way.
Or they'd paste a fake label over it. That way, rival DJs couldn't look over their shoulder, read the artist's name, and try to track down a copy for themselves.
That is incredible. They were guarding the identity of the song like a state secret.
They had to. And beyond the secrecy, the DJ's job was incredibly complex in terms of crowd psychology.
Because of the tempo.
Yes. They were not just standing up there showing off their rare finds. They were actively dictating the physical energy of the room.
Right, the BPM.
They had to constantly monitor the crowd and balance the tempo of the tracks with the sheer physical exhaustion levels of the dancers.
Which must have been intense.
If you play 5 hyper-fast tracks in a row, the crowd collapses. If you play something too slow, you lose the energy of the room.
It is a tightrope walk.
The specific sequence of records a DJ chose literally dictated the evolution and the stamina of the entire culture.
Which logically brings us from the DJ booth down onto the dance floor itself.
Let's talk about the dancing.
If these DJs are spinning these incredibly exclusive, high-tempo tracks, what is actually happening in the crowd? Because these clubs were not normal venues.
Not at all.
The material highlights 2 very famous spots. The Twisted Wheel in Manchester, which was huge around 1965.
Legendary spot.
And later, the Wigan Casino, which became the absolute epicenter of the movement around 1973. And these places were notorious for their all-nighters.
When we talk about an all-nighter in the context of Northern Soul, we mean people arriving at midnight and dancing continuously, almost without breaks, until the sun came up at 7 or 8 a.m.
I cannot even imagine this stamina.
And you have to picture the dancing itself. It was not a casual rhythmic sway side to side.
Right.
It was highly acrobatic, intensely athletic expression.
The descriptions in the text are wild.
Yeah.
We are talking about rapid, dizzying spins, high martial arts style kicks.
The backdrops, yeah.
Backdrops, jumps, and these incredibly intricate gliding steps across the wooden floorboards.
It was basically a marathon.
To pull that off for 7 hours straight in a crowded room,
Yeah.
I mean, the physical toll must have been staggering. Which means you can't just wear whatever's fashionable on the high street.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is precisely how the iconic Northern Soul fashion aesthetic was born.
Out of necessity.
It was an organic adaptation, dictated strictly by the thermodynamics of the room and the athleticism of the dance.
So no heavy coats or tight suits.
It was not top-down. Vogue magazine or London fashion houses were not telling these kids what to wear. The environment demanded it.
Right.
Think about the heat generated by 1,000 bodies dancing in an unventilated brick building.
Sounds like a sauna.
Dancers started wearing tight, high-waisted jeans, but paired them with very loose, baggy tank tops.
Let me guess. To allow for maximum arm movement.
Maximum movement and to deal with the intense sweating.
And the footwear had to be specific too, right? You can't execute a rapid spin in a heavy work boot.
Precisely. They actively sought out leather shoes with very smooth, slippery soles.
Oh, to slide easier.
Some clubs even scattered talcum powder on the wooden floorboards to reduce friction.
Wow, talcum powder.
Yeah, allowing the dancers to execute those fast spins and gliding steps seamlessly.
That is so
And to
smart.
top it off, they decorated their baggy shirts and jackets with highly personalized embroidered patches and badges.
Right, the badges. What were those for?
These badges represented the specific local clubs they had visited, the all-nighters they had survived, and their overall dedication to the scene.
It is the ultimate definition of form following function. The culture built itself from the ground up, literally from the floorboards.
Literally.
But as with all musical movements, time moves on. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, the landscape of mainstream club culture began to shift massively.
The disco era arrived.
Right. Disco, funk, and eventually the early iterations of house music began to take over. The legendary Wigan Casino eventually had its final all-nighter and closed its doors in 1981.
End of an era.
So here is the big mystery of this deep dive. How does a subculture so hyper-localized to the rainy industrial north of England survive that transition?
It's a great question.
And more surprisingly, how does it cross another ocean and eventually land in Japan?
This raises an important point about how subcultures mutate to survive.
Okay.
The scene in the UK did not completely evaporate just because the major clubs shuttered. It transitioned into a dedicated collector culture.
So the focus shifted to the records themselves.
Yes. You had enthusiasts continuing to trade records via mail, independent labels springing up to reissue the rarest tracks so a new generation could hear them,
Right.
and dedicated retrospective events popping up. Eventually, by the 1990s and 2000s, retrospective documentaries and films started being produced about the movement.
Which brought it back into the spotlight.
Exactly, which gave it a fresh wave of international recognition.
But the jump to Japan actually started earlier than that, right?
Yes, much earlier.
The 2026 MMR column points out that it reached Japan primarily in the late 70s and through the 1980s.
Right at the end of the UK club era.
And again, thinking about the mechanisms of how information spreads pre-internet, I mean, it didn't arrive via some massive corporate marketing campaign.
Yo, not at all.
It arrived through a highly dedicated human-powered network.
It was an incredibly fragmented transmission of culture. You had Japanese specialty record buyers traveling to the UK, discovering this scene, and bringing those rare 45 RPM imports back to Tokyo and Osaka.
Just carrying them in suitcases, like the British DJs did in America.
Exactly the same way, and the way the knowledge spread was through niche music magazines.
Like fanzines.
Yeah, but we're not talking about glossy pop magazines. These were dense, text-heavy publications where Japanese collectors would meticulously catalog import lists.
Wow, just lists of records.
Lists, translating the English liner notes and deciphering the complex histories of these obscure American artists and British clubs.
That is dedication.
It required the Japanese fans to have an intense, almost scholarly curiosity to piece the puzzle together.
And when it finally took root in Japan, the fascinating part is that they did not just build a replica of the Wigan Casino.
No, they made it their own.
They didn't carbon copy the British blueprint. They localized it to fit their own cultural infrastructure.
That's the key.
Instead of massive 1,000-person all-night dance halls in industrial warehouses, the Japanese scene localized into much smaller, highly curated DJ events.
Specialized record shops, yeah.
And intimate listening bars, often called jazz gazaten, but applied to soul music.
They applied their own cultural lens to the imported movement.
Right.
In these listening bars, the focus shifted slightly away from the pure, sweat-drenched physical exhaustion of the dance floor
And moved toward what?
toward a highly refined appreciation of the artifact itself. The Japanese fans became notoriously focused on the audio quality of the room.
Oh, like these acoustics?
The acoustics, the pristine condition of the rare vinyl, and securing the absolute original first-run pressings of the records.
Okay, I have to challenge this a bit, because on the surface, it feels like a massive contradiction.
I can see that.
If Northern Soul, at its absolute core, was explicitly engineered for sweating it out on a dance floor at 3 a.m. with 1,000 other people,
Right.
does the Japanese scene, where you might be sitting in a dimly lit, acoustically perfect bar, quietly sipping a drink, and obsessing over the lack of surface noise on a rare original pressing, does that lose the original point of the music?
Are they missing the forest for the trees, you mean?
Yeah. Are we straying too far from the source code, or is it just a natural evolution?
It is a completely valid concern, but if you dig into the evidence presented in the column, it is clearly an evolution, not a betrayal.
How so?
The text makes a point to clarify that the danceable essence of the music is absolutely still maintained in Japan.
Oh, so they still dance.
Yes, there are still floor-focused, high-energy, dancing-heavy Northern Soul events happening in Tokyo today.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
What we are seeing is simply a different equilibrium being struck. The original British scene leaned maybe 90% into the physical realm.
The athleticism, the sweat, the endurance.
Exactly. The Japanese scene balances that physical release with a deep, reverent appreciation for the artifact.
The collecting and the audio fidelity.
The collecting, the deep, focused listening, and the preservation of the history. It is the exact same soul, the exact same rhythm, just experienced through a different cultural receptor.
So what does this all mean when we step back and look at this entire sprawling timeline, from a forgotten recording studio in 1960s Detroit to a packed, sweaty dance floor in 1970s Wigan,
Right.
all the way to a pristine listening bar in modern-day Japan? To me, it proves that music history is not just written by the Billboard Top 40.
Oh, absolutely not.
The absolute blueprint of modern club culture, like
Oh.
the concept of a DJ relentlessly digging through crates for the obscure,
Yes.
the crowd having a visceral bodily reaction to a specific BPM, and the formation of a fiercely dedicated niche community sharing a secret language, all of that was forged in the fires of Northern Soul.
And I think the enduring dedication of the Japanese scene really drives home the source material's initial thesis.
Which I-
Northern Soul is an attitude rather than just a rigidly defined genre of music.
An attitude, I like that.
It is an attitude about how deeply and how intentionally we choose to engage with the art we consume. It is about looking past the mainstream, past the algorithms, past what is handed to you on a silver platter, and being willing to do the hard work to find something that truly, deeply moves you.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We talked a lot about how Northern Soul was built entirely on the thrill of scarcity.
The only one culture.
Right, the absolute magic of digging through dusty, forgotten cardboard boxes in a basement, just to find a physical 45 RPM record that no one else on Earth had.
It was the glue.
That exclusivity was the glue that held the community together. But in today's world, where virtually every song ever recorded in human history is digitized and instantly available to all of us,
At any time.
at any time on our streaming platforms, can an only one culture ever truly exist again?
That's a tough question.
Or have we permanently traded the profound magic of discovery for the frictionless convenience of infinite access?
It really makes you wonder what we might be losing when we gain access to everything all at once.
It is definitely something for you to chew on the next time you are standing in line, pulling out your phone, and opening your favorite music app.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us today. We will catch you on the next one.